From the beginning, Rimuru did not want a war with the Tengu, knowing that because they are very proud, it could easily end in one. Meanwhile, Momiji herself didn't want any trouble with Rimuru either, as she had a bit of fear of him, or at least fear of his power and title. Thanks to this, after a long meeting with many misunderstandings, a war was avoided, and potential couples began to form. On the last day of hearings, 3 days before the start of the Founders Festival, is when the meeting with the Tengu would take place. No problems had arisen since the meeting with the elves, and everything was going smoothly, with no monsters causing trouble, probably because the situation with the 3 giant brothers that had already spread through the city, keeping anyone who wanted to cause trouble in check. And today, an important meeting with important individuals, the Tengu, will take place, and Rimuru does not want to let his guard down around them, being cautious with his mountain neighbors. That is why he made sure to have his entire team present, bringing Gerudo, Diablo and Hakuro in time for the discussion. The greatest proof of how seriously Rimuru was taking the Tengu as a guest and a delegation is that he sent Benimaru, proving just how crucial this meeting would be for our slime. But anyway, the Tengu delegation arrived, with their squads dressed in full armor, showing the prestige of the Tengus. And a note is that this happened in a room. Unlike the meetings with other tribal envoys, the Tengu are special. This was a different and private audience with the executives, not a public event as depicted in the anime. Here, before even seeing them, Rimuru could sense their arrival, perceiving a violent force approaching like a tidal wave, realizing that indeed the rumors were true. The Tengu definitely possess significant military power and would be a threat to many people, although not to him. After all, as I said, Tempest is on another level. And one thing I think, although explained in the anime, remained somewhat vague and superficial is the Tengu race, which is not exactly a race, second the light novel. Well, the Tengu are not hybrids of angel and werewolves, they are angels reincarnated in the bodies of wolfmen, but they are not a race. They can even be considered a species, since they are variants, but not their own race. This happens because a single angel incarnated in a wolfman, and from this incarnated individual, the rest of the group was born. It is basically like Ranga's pack, with the alpha completely representing the pack and involving them by extension. But even before the angels, the Tengu were already a pack of extremely powerful wolfmen, and when the angel incarnated in one of them and created a new sentient species, they become even more powerful than the previous one. And the single individual who gave rise to this entire species is the Tengu elder, Kaede, one we know and who is Momiji's mother. Kaede is basically the progenitor of the entire Tengu clan at this point. Now back to Rimuru. Considering that, although kind, the Tengu were quite proud, Rimuru did not want a war by trying to impose his dominance over their mountains. Moreover, there was no reason to fight these mountain gods in the first place. And with this in mind, we have Benimaru going to Tengu territory. That was well adapted in the anime. The animation of the village was also excellent, truly portraying the ridden flowered paradise the Tengu called home. A good mention, though, is that upon meeting Momiji, besides her great beauty and human-like appearance, the first thing to notice about her were her long and penetrating eyes like those of a wolf, which observed Benimaru as if he was a prey. And upon seeing Momiji, Benimaru thought he could not let his guard down around her, as she had a dominant presence reminiscent of Carrion, perhaps even stronger. So indeed, Momiji is very powerful as a demon lord siege. After that, as in the anime, Momiji was uninterested in the conversation, but the tunnel that Benimaru mentioned caught her attention. And regarding this tunnel, Rimuru doesn't really want to make it. The Tempest team already rejected Rimuru's idea of creating a tunnel, since although it would be the shortest path between Tempest and Sarion, the highway would only lead to a large city near the border with Sarion. Therefore, the tunnel was not really necessary. Benimaru mentioned it just to bring up the concept that Rimuru had thought. When Momiji took offense at the offer and stood up, Benimaru remained seated because he didn't want to turn everything into a problem. He knew that any reaction from him would make the other side's reaction even more strongly, so he stayed calm, although all Alvis did not. When Alvis attacked Momiji with her evil eye, aside from the explanation that the Tengu are semi-spiritual and that Momiji is the daughter of the Tengu Elder, the novel also tells us about her unique skill, Wolf God's Senses. It is basically an enhanced version of Magic Sense, which can detect illusions and illusionary magic, so this attack wouldn't work on her even if she were of a material race. Therefore, as in the anime, she easily dominated Alvis, a trivial matter, and we have Benimaru intervening in the fight. And in the anime wasn't bad, but I felt it lacked something. In the light novel and the manga, the scene gives off a more commanding, cooler vibe. Here Benimaru said enough, and in a flash he stopped Momiji's fun easily, but in the novel and in the manga were more cool. So with Kaede's entrance, she would gracefully walk into the room until she reached Momiji, where she then yelled, calling her daughter an idiot, along with a smack in the Momiji's head. As for the flashback of the past, I can only say that finally our buddy Byakuya got an official design in the anime. It was about time for him. And about the scene where Kaede confessed to Hakuro and he accepts, in reality, at that part, the two would share a steamy night beneath a maple tree, which is also where Momiji was conceived, although she took a good few centuries to be born. And this tree even became a symbol of the ogre's homeland, unbeknownst to the young ones that Hakuro used it as a pillow. Then the rest of negotiations there were quite similar to the anime, with the episodes doing an excellent job adapting this part. It is also important to note that Kaede wishes to build a good relationship with Rimuru. Aside from wanting Benimaru to marry Momiji, she understands that a relationship with Rimuru will be beneficial for the future of a Tengu and for the future of his daughter. And now here we have the scene of Hakuro's and Benimaru's private conversation and an argument. Hakuro should have returned to Tempest before the meeting. A meeting with the three of them would be held. Hakuro would discover in advance about his daughter and Kaede, and for Rimuru this issue of a marriage was a problem between the two of them and not for him, so he stayed out. But Hakuro on the other hand didn't accept it. Hakuro did not accept that Benimaru needed to think about it, not wanting to even consider the possibility of Benimaru not liking his daughter. But this wasn't just an indignation as a new father, it was also because he enjoyed Benimaru's discomfort and did this on purpose, to mess with the young man. And of course, this conversation would last the entire night. Now arriving at the Sage Summit between the two groups, Momiji with a haughty look spoke arrogantly to Rimuru, and of course this was on purpose. As the representative of the Tengu, she needed to remain firm and proud, even though she was very anxious and her hand trembled slightly. Now regarding Shion's not reaction to Momiji, that was definitely something. This was one of the changes in her lately. She no longer overreacted to small things as she used to, having learned to control herself better in general, not just in this specific situation. Although, in a way, it seemed like she was just holding it, while getting ready to explode at some point. Now, as for the misunderstanding about Frey and everything, the anime adapted it very well. And since the misunderstandings were resolved, Tempest and the Tengu managed to agree to help each other if something happens, and to have normal relations. The rest of the meeting was like in the anime, mainly about the part of Benimaru's marriage and harem, perfectly showing the scenes of the guys' conversation. Although the scene of Shuna and Shion having their cold war over Rimuru after he acknowledged the competition over Benimaru was a bit bland. They really acted as rivals for Rimuru, intending to compete for him just as Benimaru is the prize for Alvis and Momiji, and because of this I expected more sparkles, more a dramatical scene, something better, but the anime wasn't bad. And the most interesting part about Momiji for me is that she is Byakuya's granddaughter, an other world that appeared very little in the series but holds significant importance. And if you want to know more about Byakuya and anyone from another world, in this video you will find everything you need to know and will enjoy it. Now, bye bye.